The Galactic Council's flagship hovered at the edge of charted space, its elegant crystalline structure gleaming against the backdrop of distant stars. Science Officer Trill stood at the observation deck, her 4 eyes narrowed as she studied the mysterious object on the main view screen. "Magnify Sector 7, she commanded, her voice melodic yet precise. The screen zoomed in on a dark, angular shape drifting silently among the asteroids. Unlike the smooth, organic designs favored by Council species, this vessel was all harsh angles and protruding structures. "Origin?" asked Captain Moore, stepping beside Trill. His tentacles rippled with curiosity. "Unknown, Captain, but preliminary scans suggest it may be of human origin." A murmur spread across the bridge. Humans were known to the Council only through distant observations, a young, primitive species only recently venturing beyond their home system. "Impossible," said Moore. "Our intelligence indicates humans lack the technology for deep space travel. They've barely reached their neighboring planets." Trill's upper eyes blinked in sequence, her species equivalent of a shrug. "The evidence suggests otherwise, Captain. Energy signatures match what we know of human propulsion systems, though significantly more advanced than expected. Life signs? None detected. The vessel appears powered down, or in some form of dormant state." Captain Moore's skin shifted from blue to a thoughtful purple. "This requires investigation. The Council must know if humans have developed beyond our estimations." Within hours, Trill assembled an analysis team of the ship's best scientists and engineers. They gathered in the tactical room, reviewing the scan data. "The vessel shows no signs of damage," reported Engineer Kaz, his exoskeleton clicking as he manipulated the holographic display. "Power systems are intact but inactive. It appears to have been deliberately shut down." "A trap," suggested Security Chief Vex, his armored plates shifting nervously. "Unlikely," said Trill. "Our scans detect no active weapon systems. I believe it was simply abandoned." Captain Moore made his decision. "Bring it aboard for analysis. Full containment protocols." The mothership's tractor beam activated, gently pulling the human vessel toward the massive hangar bay. As it drew closer, the true scale of the ship became apparent, small by Council standards, but densely constructed, with what appeared to be weapon mounts along its hull. "It's a warship," whispered Vex, his natural caution heightened. The humans built a warship. The concept was almost foreign to the Council species. Their union had formed over 50,000 years ago, long enough for the member species to evolve beyond violent conflict. Their vessels were built for exploration, science, and commerce, never war. The human ship settled onto the hangar floor with a heavy thud. Up close, it looked even more intimidating. Dark metal scurred by space dust, with the name Intrepid emblazoned on its side in bold letters. Trill's analysis team donned their protective suits and gathered at the airlock. The standard protocols for examining unknown technology were well established, but there was unusual tension among the team. "Remember," Trill instructed, "we know very little about humans except they evolved on a high-gravity world with extreme climate variations. Their technology may reflect these harsh origins." The team nodded in agreement, checking their equipment one final time. "Proceed with caution." Captain Moore's voice came through their communication devices. "This discovery could change our understanding of humanity's place in the galaxy." The airlock cycled open, revealing the entrance to the human vessel. Trill led her team forward, unaware that what they would find inside would not merely change their understanding of humanity, but shake the very foundations of Galactic Council civilization. The metallic door of the human vessel slid open with a hiss, releasing stale air into the hangar. Trill led her team inside, their specialized sensors scanning for hazards as they moved through the dimly lit corridor. Emergency lights cast an eerie red glow across the metal walls. "Atmosphere composition is breathable for humans, but oxygen levels are low," reported Kaz, studying his handheld device. "Life support appears to be in minimal maintenance mode." The corridor opened into what appeared to be the ship's command center. Unlike the elegant open designs of council vessels, this room was compact, with stations arranged in tight clusters around a central chair. Screens were dark, and the only sound was the faint hum of backup systems. No signs of struggle, observed Vex, sweeping the room with his 4 arms poised defensively. No bodies, no damage. The crew simply left. Shrill approached what she assumed was the captain's station. Her slender fingers hovered over the control panel, hesitant to touch the alien technology. Power seems to be diverted to critical systems only. Fascinating design. Everything is within arm's reach of this central position. Captain Moore, she communicated back to the mothership. The vessel appears abandoned but intact. Request permission to activate minimal systems for analysis. Granted, came the captain's reply. But exercise extreme caution. Engineer Kaz located what appeared to be a main power junction and carefully connected their universal interface. The screens flickered to life, displaying symbols and numbers in the human language. Their interface is primitive, noted Trill with surprise. Rather than the neural or thought-based controls used by council ships, this vessel relied entirely on physical interaction, buttons, switches, and manual input devices. Why would a spacefaring species use such inefficient methods? As the systems came online, the team spread throughout the ship. What they found puzzled them even more. "Captain, you need to see this," called Vex from another section. "I found their engine room." The engine compartment revealed something unexpected. Multiple redundant systems, manual override levers, and access panels designed for emergency repairs. Council ships operated on principles of elegant simplicity and automated perfection. This vessel seemed designed with failure in mind. "Look at these backup systems," marveled Kaz. 3 separate power routing methods, manual engine controls, even primitive chemical fire suppression. They've built contingencies for every possible failure. Trill discovered a sealed compartment near the command center. When opened, it revealed rows of what appeared to be weapons, handheld devices of various sizes and designs. "They armed their crew," she reported, her voice tinged with disbelief. "Not just the ship. The individuals aboard carried personal weapons." As more systems came online, Trill accessed what appeared to be the ship's log. Strange symbols appeared on the screen, gradually translated by their devices. "U.S. Intrepid, Defender-class patrol vessel," she read aloud. "This isn't a science or exploration ship. It's explicitly designed for combat." The concept was almost incomprehensible to the Council species. Their civilization had evolved beyond violent conflict, focusing instead on cooperation and advancement. The idea of building vessels specifically for warfare seemed primitive, wasteful. Yet as they continued their exploration, they found evidence of remarkable ingenuity. Every system had manual backups. Critical components could be repaired during flight. Even the ship's layout suggested tactical thinking. Essential areas protected deep within the hull, with less critical sections forming an outer layer of protection. They designed this vessel expecting to be attacked, realized Trill. Every aspect of its construction assumes hostile encounters. Captain Moore's voice came through their communicators, unusually solemn. "The Council must be informed immediately. If humans build their vessels for war as a default, we may need to reconsider our assessment of their civilization." The analysis team continued their work, unaware that the ship's databases contained revelations far more startling than its physical design. Trill connected her translation device to the main computer terminal aboard the Intrepid. The system resisted at first, then yielded as Kaz bypassed several layers of security protocols. "Primitive but effective," Kaz noted, his exoskeleton clicking with appreciation. "They use encryption methods that are mathematically simple but require significant processing power to break." The screen flickered, then displayed a directory of ship files. Trill navigated through the system, quickly locating what appeared to be historical archives. "It seems the humans maintain extensive records of their past on even their military vessels," she observed. perhaps for educational purposes during long journeys. The first files she opened showed images of early human history, beings in simple clothing wielding crude weapons made of stone and wood. The translation device struggled with some concepts but conveyed enough for understanding. They evolved as predators, Vex noted, his armored plates shifting nervously, using tools to hunt larger creatures for sustenance. As Trill continued through the timeline, the images became increasingly disturbing to the Council team. Humans in organized formations, wielding progressively more sophisticated weapons. Massive conflicts spanning continents. Devices that harnessed atomic energy for destruction. By the Founders, whispered Trill. Their entire history is defined by warfare. Unlike Council species, whose prehistoric conflicts had been limited to resource competition before developing cooperation, humans had engaged in organized violence throughout their development. More shockingly, this pattern hadn't diminished with technological advancement. It had escalated. This explains the ship design, Kaz said, his usual enthusiasm dampened. Their technology evolved primarily through military application. The archives contain detailed analyses of what humans called military strategy, concepts entirely foreign to Council thinking. They discovered terms like deterrence, tactical advantage, and acceptable casualties, ideas that seemed barbaric to species that had evolved beyond such thinking millennia ago. Yet interspersed with these war records were other achievements: art, music, philosophy, and scientific discoveries unrelated to conflict. The humans appeared paradoxical, capable of both extraordinary violence and remarkable creativity. Look at this section, called another team member from across the room. It's their entertainment archives. The team gathered around another terminal displaying what appeared to be fictional narratives. To their astonishment, many centered around conflict, survival against overwhelming odds or competition. They find enjoyment in simulated danger, Trill noted with fascination. Their recreation mimics the very challenges that shaped their evolution. One file contained thousands of hours of visual entertainment, stories of humans facing threats, overcoming obstacles, battling enemies both real and imagined. Some depicted spacefaring humans encountering alien life, usually portrayed as hostile. They expect conflict even among the stars, said Vex grimly. They prepare their people for it through these narratives. Deeper in the archives, Trill discovered files about Earth's political structure. Not a unified government like the Council, but dozens of competing nations maintaining separate military forces even as they began exploring space. Captain, Trill communicated back to Moore, our findings suggest humans evolved through competition rather than cooperation. Their societal structures, technology, and even entertainment reflect this fundamental difference from Council species. What are your conclusions about their threat level? Asked Captain Moore. Trill hesitated, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence as she considered. Uncertain. They are clearly dangerous. Their capacity for violence exceeds anything in Council records. Yet they also show remarkable resilience and adaptability. These qualities made them survivors on their challenging homeworld. Continue your analysis, ordered Moore. The Council must understand what we're dealing with before humans expand further into space. As Trill returned to the archives, she couldn't shake a growing feeling of unease. The humans' history of violence was disturbing, yet their determination to overcome challenges was almost admirable. The Intrepid's weapon systems remained to be analyzed, and Trill suspected they would reveal even more about this paradoxical species. Engineer Kaz led the team toward the sealed sections of the Intrepid marked with human warning symbols. The heavy doors opened reluctantly, revealing chambers dedicated entirely to offensive and defensive capabilities. These must be their weapon systems, Kaz said, his voice barely above a whisper. His scanning device hummed as he moved it across the unfamiliar equipment. The first chamber contained rows of what appeared to be missiles, secured in launch tubes along the hull. Unlike the elegant energy-based defenses used by Council vessels, these were physical projectiles, solid objects designed to impact targets with devastating force. Kinetic weapons, explained Trill, reviewing the data on her device. Primitive in concept, but she paused, studying the specifications. Extraordinarily effective against energy shields. The physical impact would transfer energy our defenses aren't designed to absorb. In another chamber, they discovered more sophisticated systems, devices that generated focused beams of intense energy, capable of cutting through hull materials with alarming efficiency. "Look at this design," noted Vex, examining one of the weapons. "It's modular. If one section is damaged, it can be bypassed or replaced without disabling the entire system." This pattern repeated throughout the ship. Every weapon system had manual backups, redundant power supplies, and could be operated independently if the central computer failed. Nothing relied on a single point of control. "This is why they use such primitive interfaces," realized Kaz. "Their system isn't designed for maximum efficiency. It's designed for maximum survivability." The team moved to the defensive systems. Unlike Council vessels, which relied on energy fields to deflect incoming attacks, the Intrepid had layers of physical armor plating. Beneath this exterior protection were compartments that could be sealed to prevent catastrophic decompression. "They expect to be hit," said Trill, running her hand along the reinforced bulkhead. "Their entire defense strategy assumes damage will occur." Most shocking was the discovery of what humans called point-defense systems, automated weapons designed to intercept incoming projectiles. The concept that attacks would be so common as to require automated countermeasures was foreign to Council thinking. "Captain Moore needs to see this," Vex transmitted, his natural caution now fully justified. The humans designed their ships assuming constant threat. When they accessed the tactical systems, the true nature of human combat philosophy became clear. The ship's computer contained complex algorithms for targeting enemy vessels' vulnerable points, calculating optimal firing solutions, and even estimating casualty projections. "They mathematically quantified acceptable losses," Trill said, her voice hollow with disbelief. "Council species valued each life equally. The concept of calculating acceptable deaths was morally incomprehensible." Yet as their analysis deepened, a paradox emerged. Despite the Intrepid's formidable capabilities, its systems showed remarkable restraint. Weapons had multiple safety protocols to prevent accidental discharge. The targeting systems prioritized disabling rather than destroying enemy vessels when possible. "They prepare for the worst while hoping for better outcomes," observed Trill. "Their technology reflects both their capacity for violence and their desire to control it." Kaz discovered something unexpected in the engineering section, a retrofitted device connected to the ship's sensors. "This appears to be a diplomatic broadcasting system," he said with surprise. "It's designed to transmit peace signals in multiple formats simultaneously." The team gathered around this unexpected find. Among all the weapons and defenses was a system specifically designed to avoid conflict, to communicate peaceful intentions to unknown entities. "Captain," Trill transmitted to Moore, "the human approach to space is unlike anything in Council records. They build for war while incorporating tools for peace. Their technology reflects a species that evolved through conflict, yet strives to transcend it." As the team continued their analysis, they realized the weapons were only part of the story. To truly understand humans, they would need to examine how the crew lived aboard this vessel of war. The analysis team moved deeper into the Intrepid, leaving the weapons systems behind. They entered what appeared to be living quarters, small compartments containing individual sleeping platforms and storage units for personal belongings. "Such confined spaces," noted Trill, ducking her head to enter one of the rooms. "Council species would find this claustrophobic." Unlike the sterile efficiency they expected from a military vessel, these quarters contained surprising elements. Personal items were secured to surfaces, framed images of other humans, small decorative objects, books made of actual paper. One room held a collection of colored stones arranged in a pattern. Another contained dried plants preserved in a clear container. They'd bring reminders of their home with them, Trill observed, gently touching a fabric item that appeared to be handmade, even in a vessel designed for war. The team discovered what appeared to be communal spaces, rooms with tables and seating arranged to encourage group interaction. One wall displayed images of the ship's crew, names listed beneath each face. They emphasized their collective identity, said Kaz, studying the photographs. These must be ceremonial displays to reinforce their unit cohesion. The medical facility revealed more insights. Unlike council medical bays, which focused on comfort and holistic treatment, this space was designed for efficiency and emergency response. Surgical equipment stood ready for immediate use. Medication stores contained powerful pain suppressants and stimulants. They prioritized keeping their warriors functional above all else, noted Vex, examining what appeared to be a blood replacement system. These treatments aren't designed for comfort. They are designed to return individuals to duty as quickly as possible. Most revealing was a room filled with physical training equipment, devices designed to maintain and strengthen the body through resistance and stress. They deliberately subject themselves to discomfort to improve physical capability, Kaz observed with fascination. Council species would use biological adjustments or technological assistance instead. In another section, they discovered entertainment facilities, screens for viewing media, game systems requiring physical interaction, and even simple acoustic instruments. Maintaining psychological health during extended missions, Trill theorized. These activities simulate the social bonding and mental stimulation they would receive on their homeworld. The ship's logs revealed rotation schedules for sleep, duty, and recreation, carefully balanced to maintain peak performance from the crew. Unlike council vessels, where individuals worked according to preference and ability, the human ship operated on strict temporal cycles. What struck the team most was a room they identified as a memorial space. Within it were displayed the names of humans who had served on similar vessels and perished. Small tokens, coins, ribbons, personal items had been left beneath some names. They honor their fallen, whispered Trill, not just with records, but with continuing emotional connection. The concept was profound. Council species remembered their deceased, of course, but the deliberate maintenance of emotional bonds with the dead, especially in a military context, suggested something unexpected about human psychology. Their strength comes from these connections, realized Trill, her 4 eyes blinking slowly as she processed this insight. What we perceived as irrational attachment is actually a source of motivation. Throughout the living areas, they found evidence of a complex social structure. Rank insignias indicated a clear hierarchy, yet personal spaces showed individualism within that structure. Messages between crew members revealed both professional respect and personal friendship. Captain, Trill transmitted to Moore, the human psychological profile is more complex than our initial assessment. They form strong emotional bonds that appear to enhance rather than hinder their functionality in crisis situations. How does this inform our threat assessment? Asked Moore. Trill hesitated before answering. It suggests that humans draw strength from what we would consider vulnerability, their emotional connections. In conflict situations, this might make them more formidable, not less. They fight not just for survival, but for each other. As the team continued their exploration, an unexpected sound echoed through the ship, a low, pulsing alarm that hadn't been active before. The alarm pulsed through the Intrepid's corridors, growing in intensity. Red emergency lights activated automatically, casting an eerie glow throughout the vessel. The analysis team froze in place, their various appendages tightening in alarm. "What's happening?" demanded Vex, his defensive plates fully extended. Did someone trigger a security protocol? Kaz rushed to a nearby terminal, his claws dancing across the interface. The ship is powering up. Systems are coming online automatically, life support increasing to full capacity, navigation initializing, communication arrays activating. Impossible, Trill said, moving quickly to join him. The power core was dormant. There shouldn't be enough energy to. She stopped mid-sentence as realization dawned. It wasn't abandoned or derelict. It was in a dormant state, programmed to activate under specific conditions. A mechanical voice echoed through the ship, speaking in the human language. Their translation devices struggled to keep up. Emergency protocol activated. Distress beacon enabled. Transmitting coordinates to nearest UNSC fleet. Hostile boarding detected. We've been detected as intruders, Vex said, his voice tight with concern. The ship thinks it's under attack. On the command deck, screens flickered to life, displaying star charts and a pulsing dot that could only represent their current position. A countdown appeared on the main screen. Captain Moore. Trill transmitted urgently. The human vessel has activated some kind of automated defense system. It's broadcasting our location. Can you disable it? Came Moore's immediate response. Kaz was already attempting to access the ship's core systems. The security is adapting to our intrusion attempts. It's learning from our methods. Outside the Intrepid, in the vast hangar bay of the Council mothership, a panel opened on the human vessel's hull. A small satellite dish extended, pointing toward open space, and began emitting powerful directional signals. The beacon has deployed physically, reported a Council technician to Captain Moore. It's broadcasting on multiple frequencies simultaneously. On the mothership's bridge, Captain Moore's skin had darkened to a deep purple, a sign of extreme concern. Can we jam the signal? We're attempting to, replied the communications officer, but it's using frequency-hopping protocols we've never encountered. As soon as we block one channel, it switches to another. Back aboard the Intrepid, Trill's team worked frantically to understand what was happening. The ship's database had sealed itself off, but external sensors remained accessible. What they showed was alarming. Captain, Trill reported, the ship's long-range sensors are active. They're detecting multiple vessels approaching at high velocity. Based on their configuration, they appear to be human ships. On the mothership's bridge, the tactical display confirmed this assessment. 7 vessels had appeared at the edge of their sensor range, moving in a precise formation toward their position. Their energy signatures matched the Intrepid's, but at a much higher output. Time to intercept, asked Moore. 17 minutes at their current velocity, replied the tactical officer. They're pushing their engines beyond safe parameters. These readings suggest they're prepared for combat. Captain Moore faced an unprecedented situation. The Council fleet had never encountered a potential hostile force in space. Their vessels were equipped with defensive capabilities, but they were explorers, not warriors. Options, he asked his senior staff. We could destroy the human vessel we captured, suggested the tactical officer. Remove evidence of our intrusion, and confirm humanity's apparent belief that other species are hostile, countered Moore. No, that contravenes our most fundamental principles. We could flee, offered another. Our drives are more efficient than theirs, and leave them knowing of our existence, but nothing of our intentions, Moore said, creating fear and uncertainty. The captain's tentacles rippled as he considered the situation. The Council had always believed first contact with new species would occur through careful diplomatic preparation. Now they faced armed human vessels responding to what they would perceive as an attack. The humans built ships ready for war, Moore said finally, but included peace broadcasting systems. They prepare for the worst while allowing for better possibilities. Perhaps we should follow their example. He turned to his communications officer. Prepare to broadcast on all frequencies. We will attempt to communicate. The Council mothership glowed softly against the darkness of space, its crystalline structure broadcasting peace signals on all frequencies. Inside, Captain Moore stood on the bridge, tentacles pressed against the viewing panel as the human fleet approached. 7 warships, their angular forms stark against the stars, slowed and formed a precise semicircle around the Council vessel. They've surrounded us, noted the tactical officer. Standard containment formation. They could attack from multiple vectors simultaneously. Or they're positioning themselves defensively, countered Moore. protecting against any sudden movements from us. The communications array chimed. Captain, we're receiving a transmission. Audio and visual. Accept it, ordered Moore. Full transparency. The main screen activated, revealing the human face. The being wore a dark uniform with symbols of rank on the shoulders. Its expression was controlled but alert. This is Admiral Reed of the United Earth Defense Force. You have captured one of our vessels. State your identity and intentions immediately. Moore stepped forward, his translation system active. I am Captain Moore of the Galactic Council Exploration Fleet. We discovered your vessel dormant and brought it aboard for peaceful study. We meant no aggression. The human's expression didn't change, but something shifted in its eyes. You boarded a military vessel without permission. On Earth, that would be considered an act of war. We have no concept of war as you understand it, replied Moore. The Council has existed in peace for 50,000 years. We explore and study. When we found your ship, we sought to understand. A moment of silence followed as the human processed this. What have you learned from your study? Moore gestured to Trill, who had been brought to the bridge. She stepped forward, 4 eyes blinking nervously. We learned that humans are unlike any species we have encountered, she said. Your technology reflects a history of conflict, yet also shows remarkable ingenuity. You build for survival against worst-case scenarios. You form emotional bonds that strengthen rather than weaken your functionality. The human's expression softened slightly. And this surprised you? Profoundly, admitted Trill. Council species evolved through cooperation. Conflict exists in our distant past, but never to the scale or sophistication shown in your records. Another moment of silence as the human admiral seemed to consider something. Captain Moore, unwilling to accept that your intentions weren't hostile. But understand this, humans explore space hoping for peace while prepared for war. It's kept us alive on a planet that tried to kill us at every turn. We are beginning to understand this paradox, replied Moore. Your ship contains both remarkable weapons and systems designed for peaceful contact. The Admiral nodded slowly. The Intrepid is one of our border patrol vessels. First contact scenarios were always a possibility. We prepared accordingly. A new understanding seemed to form between the two captains, representatives of profoundly different evolutionary paths, meeting in the vastness of space. The Council would welcome formal diplomatic contact with humanity, offered Moore. There is much we could learn from each other, and much we could misunderstand, countered the Admiral. But I agree that dialogue is preferable to alternatives. Within hours, a small human shuttle docked with the Council mothership. Admiral Reed and a small delegation stepped aboard, marking the first official meeting between humanity and the Galactic Council. The initial tension gradually eased as both sides shared information and perspectives. Your civilization achieved peace through natural evolution, noted Reed during the discussions. Humans had to fight for it, against nature, against each other, against our own worst impulses. We're still fighting that battle. Yet you've reached the stars despite these challenges, observed Moore. Perhaps there's more than one path to advancement. As the meeting concluded, both leaders stood at the observation deck, watching their vessels positioned alongside each other, the elegant Council mothership and the angular human warships. We still don't fully understand each other, said Reed, but that's a beginning, not an ending. Captain Moore's skin shifted to a hopeful blue. The Council has always believed in unity through shared knowledge. Today, we've begun to share with a species that sees the universe very differently. That is not a threat. It's an opportunity.